I go to a meeting, I sit in the back with my arms crossed, and I'm like, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. I don't look like you. I don't use like you. I don't belong here. And the whole God thing, like absolutely not.
Connect with us on the Emotion Wellness Podcast for a transformative journey of human connection. Witness personal stories, improve your mental health education, and acquire valuable resources for optimizing your well-being. And visit emotionwellness.com for more information.
Welcome to the Emotion Wellness Podcast. My name is Frank Parisi. I'm here with my brother, Jason Turner.
What's up, Frank?
And we have a special guest today, all the way from Los Angeles, California. We have Dr. Samantha Harte, and welcome to the podcast.
Hey. So good to be here.
It's been a dope few days.
It really has.
It really has.
Oh, the clients were like so feeling what you were doing. So
Yeah. Amazing. Thank you for coming all the way to San Antonio, Texas to be on the podcast.
Well, actually, that's a great place to start because the last and only time I was ever in San Antonio was March 13th, 2022, when my big sister Jessica died of a drug overdose. So when you asked me to come here to speak to people in recovery, it was a what I'll call brutal, beautiful, full circle moment. Yeah.
Wow.
I love the something I've done in the last couple of years is revisit places where locally where like I had either really bad experiences or like in a new relationship now. So other places where other relationships were like, yeah, I mean, big things happen. We'll go visit them and like kind of redo it. So I love that idea of like coming back and having your last experience in San Antonio be a different new experience.
Yep.
Yeah.
What has the experience been like for you the past few days?
Well, I'll tell you this story too. I was asking you which hotel to stay at, and you gave me some recommendations, and I was pretty sure I booked one of the hotels. And so in preparation to come here, I was just going back over, okay, where am I going once I get to the airport? And I don't have a receipt of ever booking a hotel. And I said, oh shit. And so I rather quickly on Expedia booked this place called Canopy, which was not on the original list, but it seemed good. And I get there and there are two women at check-in. One of them's busy and the other one's available. It's this beautiful young Black woman. And I go over, she asks me, do you want to be on an upper floor or lower floor? And I was like, no one really asked me that. I said, upper? Maybe there's a view. And she ends up giving me the key card, walks me to the elevator, and I'm on floor 13, and her name is Jessica. I told you, my sister Jessica died on March 13th. And so I can't think of this in any other way than synchronistic at this point in my life. Maybe once upon a time I would have said, well, that's a strange coincidence, but there's no such thing as the realm of miracles. But instead I was like, that's fucking amazing. Maybe my sister's here somewhere. I have no idea, right? And I said, I'm gonna have to tell this woman what happened, right? So the next day I go down to the lobby and I say, hey, I'm sorry to bother you. This is kind of weird, but can I say something spiritual? She's like, yeah. So I'm like, hey, so the reason I'm here is to speak to a recovery center. And the only other time I was here was on this day when my big sister with this name passed away. And here you are. And I just wanted you to know. It's pretty amazing. And her face dropped. And she said, that's not weird at all. Can we go for a walk? I went for a walk. She went through this door so we could be in private. I'm really like, what is this woman going to say to me right now? And she said, I can't stop drinking.
Wow.
I drink all day long. I drink in the mornings and I don't know how to stop. And there's a reason why you're here. So I went upstairs and I got one of the 2 copies of my book that I brought with me to San Antonio, and I wrote her a beautiful message, gave her my contact information. That's how this trip started, Frank. That was before I even went to your recovery center. So you want to ask me how it went? I mean, do I even need to say anything else? I don't know. Unbelievable, right?
So epic.
How beautiful.
It's unbelievable.
How do you feel around that? Like how does that,
I feel like I'm cracking the code on what I understand about God now more than ever. So the way I was able to see and receive that experience was like being in another dimension.
Yeah.
And what I want to say to the listener who's like, ugh, is that I was so anti-God. I mean, anti. I did not have the experience of growing up in a Christian punishing God home or a heavily religious home, which a lot of people I think come into recovery with, and that's its own form of trauma that you have to untangle. But I came in from an atheist home where if you believed in God, you were a fucking fool, and the only person you can count on is yourself. So I was kicking and screaming around having to get down with God to solve my problems for years because it was coming up against, I didn't know this at the time, every childhood belief that kept me safe as a girl, right? Literally the steps and God felt unsafe to me. And when I discovered the voice and the sound of my intuition, which had been silenced as a girl in a very unstable home, because when I asked why this was happening, why mom was taking those pills every night, why she was cheating on my dad and telling me about it, when I questioned with my natural childhood instinct, I was silenced. So I hadn't heard the sound of her voice in so long until I did deep healing work. And that, to me, is the whisper of God. So I can say God now. I can say God consciousness now. I can say I believe in the realm of miracles now. But holy shit, the work I've had to do to create a meaning that is so deeply resonant that makes my nervous system feel safe is not something I want to skip over when I just drop that bomb at the beginning of this talk. Because I really want to speak to the people who don't believe there is a such thing. Because I was you. I know you.
Wow.
You speak in a way that she said something the other night when we were communicating about like not being, I don't know the exact language, I could look it up, but it was like something about not having the professional credentials, right? And here's the interesting part. The guy that's coming here later today got me started in the field of working with people in clinical spaces and amazing human being. He gave me good advice in my pursuit of what I wanted to do with my life. He said, I would highly recommend you get educated because it'll help you with like business, right? Like I can open up, and this is 20 years ago. But I will say that the most powerful people that I've experienced who now information is so readily available, you get it in a way that I'm not gonna say there aren't professionals out there who have that capacity or that power, but it's very rare. Like most people that I've come across with like credentials to like work with people are stagnant, stale, don't have the vibrant, you say really dope shit. Like you just use that term brutiful, right? Like I haven't heard that before. And so there's this like creativity, but also the passion where I feel like a lot of people who have the letters, that's the missing component. I feel like it's a really powerful juice. So anyway, I was just thinking about that when you were talking right now, like, man, there's no need to ever doubt that deficiency that it is, because it's not. You know what I mean? It's in certain circles somebody might feel that way, but the proof is when I hear you talk, your story the way that you do, and talking about emotional regulation and the deep healing work, and those are all, and I'm sure that you attract a lot of people who want your help, and there's something about that, right? And they're not people aren't coming to me because I have social work letters behind my name. You know, they're not coming to you for it's how you articulate. So anyway, I just wanted to say that because, man, it's hearing you, watching you work. It's, I guess I would honestly say when I first got in the field of recovery work, especially with addiction, I used the credentials that I was seeking as like a way to elevate myself. Like I was kind of rude to other people, like, because I saw a lot of bullshit. So I'm like, I was using it to fight those people. But man, I'm like not in a place today at all where I actually lean towards the side of the non-professional people because they seem to be onto something. Like you know what I mean? I really feel like you're onto something, and I feel like you're not limited. And I'm one of those people, like I'm a maverick with the credentials because I push the envelope. But when you don't have like the rules and the restrictions, you're free to create. So anyway, I just wanted to give you props on that. So
I appreciate that so much, right? Because for a decade, I flashed around my fancy doctorate to start my private practice, and I worked hard for that degree, right? And when I lost my sister and knew that I had to pivot, I had no idea what that was going to look like, right? Write this book, Breaking the Circuit, which I'm sure we'll talk about, which is all about the spiritual side of health and wellness. And it's really my attempt to cross over the physical, emotional, psychological, spiritual realms. But I lead with that now. And so after grieving and writing and deciding I'm ready to serve again, I had to poke my head out into the business landscape and go, who am I?
yeah,
And everyone says, you got to pick your lane. What are you, a PT? Are you a life coach? Are you an author? Are you a speaker? Are you a podcaster? Like, what are you?
yeah,
And there's been a bit of ego and identity collapse in this process because I grew up in a house where get your fucking degree. It's so prestigious. It's so sexy. And no one can take it from you.
yeah.
Right? So I work my ass off to get my doctorate. And now I'm a coach in a sea of life coaches, many of whom do not have
Yeah.
the lived soulful experience that I do. And so to step into a place where now actually all of my gifts are my zone of genius, right? And the preferred person that I work with wants to heal and rewire their nervous system, both on a physical and spiritual level at the same time. But to hear someone like you say that, even though I've had to self-validate through this process and go, girl, in the millions of life coaches in the world, nobody has your story.
Yeah.
And that's the truth. And you know how to articulate it. And you're combining science and soulfulness in a very unique way.
Yeah.
And that's amazing. And so stand in that. So I've internally validated, which is the most important, but I really appreciate.
Oh yeah, and we
saying
still
that.
need. I mean, we still need it. I talk a lot about internally supporting self, you know, and we work hard with our patients to not continue the cycle of external validation for the addicted person, but we do need the pats on the backs and because that we're on the right path. It shouldn't be something that curbs our behavior, right? Or has such an impact on us. And here's the things. The last thing I'll say about it is you're in a very unique position. I don't know if you've considered this, but we were just talking a little bit about it. What most people in the mental health field fail to recognize is so much of mental health is physical. It's physiology.
Yeah.
It's like they're all of us have been stuck in the psychological space, and there's a lot to be said for it. But it's just interesting to me how God orchestrates the path, right? When I look at like Frank's story, now I know yours. I look at mine, like so many things that I did that I thought were mistakes or dumb shit when I was younger, like support my current process, right? Like being built the way that I am, all the tattoos, the physical look, like it helps me get people's attention, you know what I mean? So, and then when they see the softer side, it's like a unique combo, right? So your doctorate in the background of being such a physically educated person now that you're combining the two is absolutely incredible.
Amazing. I mean, amazing.
Yeah. So I actually think you're more
Phenomenal
qualified to work with people
Yeah.
than the average person.
Yes. Yes.
I love that. And it brings me to sort of the rest of the question you asked me, Frank, about how has it been here? And the dream, there's many, but one of them is to do exactly what I did yesterday. I got to, and it's very strategic, right? Take people through a movement experience that's so fun, that gives them a great workout. Yes, yes, yes. Great music. Drops them into their body, out of their head, teaches them about their biomechanics, their body mechanics, injury prevention, right? How to move for longevity. There's so much finesse to that, but we're also shaking down the energy. A lot of energy in those rooms, right? New people, scary territory. I don't know who I am. Right?
Or you are.
We're shaking down the energy and then strategically leading them into a stretch session where I'm really leveling up their knowledge about their body, fine tuning what they've been taught, dropping into a meditation. Sympathetic to parasympathetic. And now we're calm and we're clear and we have a curated, heart-centered conversation. What you guys let me do is show and share all of my gifts in front of a group of people. That is exactly what I am meant to be doing. It has been the best time here with you guys.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
And the clients loved it too. Yeah.
Well, so many people out there,
Amazing.
if you're somebody who works with people and you didn't know this, or I think, or you're someone who works with people and you're a therapist and maybe somebody might say you should know it. You want to make traction with people, you drop them into their body first and then start doing some stuff. Like I love the way you put all of that, but at the simplest way to describe it is you drop people into their bodies and then you can get them doing a lot of stuff mentally.
Yes.
Right? There's a lot happening when I get out of my head and I get into my body.
Yes. Yes.
And so that's what I saw yesterday. And we do a different form, and it was really cool, I think, for our population and our patients to see a different way to present similar concepts. And the one thing I took away that we do, but we don't do it every session, is the down regulation. I think we were talking about that. Like we started adding more like non-sleep deep rest protocols and some stuff. We tend to have people who benefit from gas pedal for, initially, they need that stimulus. So. But yeah, they loved it. It was a really cool process.
Let me ask you. So what led you on the path of recovery?
On the day that I got accepted into the doctoral program for physical therapy, I called the only other person I knew who partied as hard as I did. And I said, it's time to fucking celebrate. All right. I really lived by the motto, work hard, play hard, in the most toxic way. And so she was about 10 years older than me, and she came over. We called the cocaine dealer. And from 2 p.m. onward, we just ripped lines.
Oof.
And it was Christmas time in New York City, and it was beautiful out. So we went all around the city in a cocaine fury.
Oh, wow.
Buying little trinkets at the outdoor shops and swinging into the local bar to snort some cocaine off the bathroom stall and then have Corona and lather, rinse, repeat, right? And so by 7, 8 p.m., we come back to my little shitty 1-bedroom, rat-infested walk-up apartment, and she wants to wrap gifts. She's in that cocaine. And I start to feel off. Can't put my finger on it, just fuzzy in the head. And I go into the bedroom area, and I remember standing up on the bed to reach the remote because we had this little tiny TV, me and the guy I was dating, up top. And then that's it. And I came to on the floor on my right side with her hovering over me on the phone with 911, trying to tell them where we were, but she barely knew me. I'd only met her one other time. And I realized immediately that something awful had happened and I was not going to be found out and she needed to get the fuck off the phone, right? So I overdosed. I was seizuring. She was rolling me onto my side and trying to get my tongue out from the back of my throat so I wouldn't choke. And while I was sort of unconscious, you know, calling the ambulance. And then I just fucking came to, right? I say that because I looked in the mirror that night and I had a big cut across my chin. So I think I was trying to swat her off of me and I cut myself. The next day was Christmas Eve. And I was supposed to go to Staten Island, actually. My sister and her then husband and that whole extended family, plus my mom and dad, were all going to be there for Christmas Eve. And I just remember thinking, you have enough makeup to cover up this scratch, and you also have leftover cocaine. So definitely don't throw that out. But I think we have a problem, right? I get to Staten Island. By the way, when you go on the ferry, newsflash, there are drug sniffing dogs. I didn't know. I was like, my heart was, I was like, I'm fucked. This is it. It's all blowing up in smoke right now. I walked right by them. Bring the cocaine to the Christmas party. Look at my sister and I'm like, I gotta fucking talk to you. Like something bad happened. We go upstairs. I tell her everything because I knew I could tell her. And she was like, Sam, you just did too much. You have to control how much you do next time. Give me the cocaine that you have. She put some on her fingernail and I snorted it because my big sister was dishing it out. So I was probably fine. But I called the one guy that I knew was sober. His name was Bobby Spillane. And I was like, I think I have a problem. I don't know. I'm fucking scared. And he's like, come with me to a meeting. Okay. So when I got back to New York City, I go to a meeting. I sit in the back with my arms crossed. And I'm like, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. I don't look like you. I don't use like you. I don't belong here. And the whole God thing, like absolutely not. That was the only meeting I went to for a year and a half. The only reason I went back was an external motivator, which, by the way, I do not recommend, but this is just my story. Okay.
What was his name?
The guy I was dating, at the time, same guy. You know, what happened to me in that year and a half is I kept trying to do cocaine like a lady. And I was like, I could still drink and not do cocaine. And that didn't work. And I was like, I guess I can't drink. So I tried not to drink, but then I doubled down on everything else I could use. Like maybe I'll just switch to downers so I'm not as insane. And the likelihood of having a heart attack, drops. And so my dad's role in the family dynamic had been family enabler. And so for as long as I could remember, when my mom was abusing prescription pills and she would run out, the doctor would say, I can't keep giving this to you. My mom was like, well, guess what, Bernie? You're going to fucking go to the doctor and tell him that you have anxiety issues and you're going to get the prescription and you're going to give that shit to me. And my dad was just a man with his tail between his legs after a time with everything that happened in the marriage. So he did whatever she wanted. And he became that person for my sister and I when our drinking and drugging picked up. So I was smoking a ton of weed and my dad, whenever I needed it, would just drive a prescription pill bottle into the city filled with Xanax, Ambien, Valium. And one night I switched the hiding spot from this really dinky canister in our bathroom that this boyfriend never found out about to our shared sock drawer. I don't know what I was thinking. I wasn't trying to get caught. Maybe subconsciously I was. He finds the pill bottle. He holds it up and he looks at me with such disgust. And he's like, you're still fucking doing this shit? And the shame in his eyes that I felt inside made me call Bobby again. Uh-oh. I think he's going to leave me. Maybe I need to go to another meeting. And the same thing happened again. I went to a meeting. I sat in the back. I was like, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, fuck the steps, fuck God. And for 30 days at least, I was still smoking weed. And at some point, everyone kept saying, from the neck up. No, mind-altering substances from the neck up. And I turned to Bobby and I was like, does that mean I can't smoke? He's like, all right, kid, if you really want to do this, let's just pick an arbitrary day as your sober day, and that'll be day 1. So we picked February 28th of 2009. That's my sober birthday. I got into the rooms because things external to me were falling away or were being threatened to be taken away. It's a very dangerous reason to go into recovery. And if it were not for my love for Bobby, my trust in Bobby and his recovery and his bright spirit and how patient he was with me, he knew I fucking hated those steps. He's like, oh, it's all right. We'll just do them the best we can. It's all good. He just, where you at, kid? Meet me on 57th and Broadway. Let's go to a meeting. Let's hit a meeting. He was just so incredible. So I just followed him around and we bulldozed our way through the steps. And I never formed a relationship with a power greater than myself. But I hung on to Bobby's faith a little bit.
How did you know him? You knew of him, you said. So.
Yeah. In my journey to figure out what I was going to do with my life, because what I really wanted to do as a kid was get a record deal, be a big old star. Try pursuing the entertainment industry when you're 19 years old and you have no self-worth and you start battling drug and alcohol addiction. It's not going to work. It's not going to work. So in the pursuit of figuring things out, one of the things I did before I went into grad school was I was personal training. I was exploring that. I was also bartending, obviously. Right when I moved to New York City, I was like, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to bartend so I can audition during the day, make the cash, right? And then it was like, okay, and also maybe not entertainment because I keep getting rejected and it makes me want to kill myself. So perhaps the body. I love the body. I was a dancer. So I go to Gold's Gym and I become a personal trainer for a time, and Bobby became a client.
Oh, okay.
Years before I ever called him about the overdose. We used to fucking box in the gym and he would tell me these crazy stories about his dad being in the Irish mob and when he was 13 opening the door to where he grew up, and the man who was on the other side shot and killed his father and he watched it.
Damn.
He just had crazy stories and he was just a beacon of light. I just knew I could call him.
And how powerful, right? So many people, and it doesn't happen all the time, but there's those personalities that are like, oh, you're not gonna do the work. Well, call me when you're ready, and like kind of push you out the door, you know. And he didn't have that approach with you, so that's powerful.
Amazing.
Yeah, that was the beginning.
So let me ask you this, because you said like you went through the steps and you didn't have a relationship with God. Like what got you to that place?
Well, while I was working with Bobby, I was in graduate school. And at the end of my first year of sobriety, I had a chance, because I was doing very well in school, to go to LA. That same boyfriend, we were still dating, and he was thinking about moving to California. So I thought, if I could do a clinical rotation in LA and just get a feel for it without committing, that's a great first step. So I got this opportunity to go to Cedars-Sinai, which was the hardest clinical internship of my life. My advisor was so hard on me. I literally went home every day and was crying. But Bobby was acting weird before that trip. I couldn't put my finger on it. He was just distant, a little bit despondent, just not like himself, and wasn't as available emotionally. And I said to him, I love you. I don't know what's going on with you. I knew he was kind of upset with his marriage. He was a little unhappy, but that didn't seem like it. And I said, I'm going to get a temporary sponsor out in California. Let's go back to being friends, because I don't want whatever's happening with you to affect that. And then I go to LA and it feels like the whole world opens up. I mean, I start taking dance classes and I'm getting noticed. Everyone's like, who's that girl? And I feel like I can have both of these things in my life. I'm sober, I'm getting my doctorate, but maybe I can do something in entertainment. And I want to tell Bobby about it. And I keep calling Bobby and he's not picking up. I mean, I called him for weeks. And finally his wife picked up and said, Bobby relapsed. That's why you haven't heard from him. Maybe you can see him when you go back to New York. It's like a fucking sucker punch to the gut. I was like, this can't be true. I mean, he's mad at his wife. Maybe there's a I don't know. I'm going to see Bobby when I get back, and it's all going to make sense. And I'm answering your question, by the way, but this is part of the answer. Mm-hmm. I meet up with Bobby at a random deli in Midtown Manhattan, and I look him in the eyes. He has big, bright blue eyes, and it was like someone went behind them and just blew the light out. It was so frightening. I didn't know it at the time, but it was eerily familiar to watching my mom get high on prescription pills and the vacancy in her eyes. It was not the first time, and it would not be the last time that I would be in the presence of a ghost, right? Somebody whose body is physically alive, but whose spirit is dead. I couldn't get an answer out of him. Bobby, did you relapse? I don't understand. Just tell me. You're the one person I trust and believe. I'm literally sober because of you. Just help me make sense of this. Sam, I had a shoulder surgery and I got a fucking staph infection and they gave me meds, and Heather is driving me fucking crazy. And as he's saying all, he's looking away and he's not looking at me. And I felt insane. Because I never got an answer. And I remember he was in a sling from the surgery. My untreated codependent self was like, I'm going to help Bobby. I'm going to go to his apartment and just help him clean his apartment up. So I saw him a couple weeks later, and I was taking his dirty fucking laundry and putting it in his laundry basket. And we were walking, up 8th Avenue to the laundromat. And I felt so uncomfortable. And I just thought, I cannot do this right now. I don't understand anything now about recovery. So I need some space from this. And then 2 weeks later, my sober girlfriend, who had a lot more time than me, called me and she said, where are you right now? I said, I'm home. Why? She said, don't go anywhere. I'm coming over. Obviously, I was like, what the fuck is happening? She sits on my couch, she puts her hand on my forearm, and she said, Bobby's dead. Bobby jumped out of his 8th-story window. And so you asked me about God. There was no God in that moment. What there was a deep knowing that if addiction killed Bobby, it was fucking coming for me too. And I had just enough time not to want to die. But not enough time and not enough pain to live any other way than by controlling the world around me and the people, places, and things inside of it. So I spent the next 4 years doing just that, perfecting, manipulating, and managing the world around me to feel safe and whole on the inside. Another thing I don't recommend, but that's what I did my entire childhood. That kept me safe. That is still what felt safe. And it wasn't until that guy that caught the pill bottle, who I had cheated on 1,000 times in my active addiction, who ended up proposing to me, marrying me, moving to California with me, until he started pulling away in every way a person can pull away, financially, physically, emotionally, sexually, that I literally came undone. I was brought to the brink of insanity in recovery. Fighting and screaming every day, begging him to fucking forgive me. Begging him to go to Al-Anon. Therapy. Do something. Why the fuck did you marry me if you're going to hate me and push me away? Every cell in my body spent all of my energy trying to change his mind. And it didn't work. I remember the day in this house we were renting, I kicked my foot through the drywall and it fucking went straight through and the chips fell. And I was like, if I don't get out of this apartment, I'm going to die. I'm going to die because I'm going to want to relapse. And I know if I relapse, I'm going to die because Bobby died. I know it. So I slept on a friend's couch for 3 nights, and she politely asked me to go somewhere else because she was a mutual friend and she felt uncomfortable. So then I slept at a sponsor's house who tried to push God down my throat, and I wanted to fucking kill her. And then I slept on another friend's couch who had a boyfriend, so she was never really there. It was a 1-bedroom until they broke up, and then I was on an air mattress and her cat would just piss on me in the middle of the night. And finally, a sober friend was like, you can't live like this. I mean, I remember after that stint on the air mattress calling my husband. I was in New York City begging him to come home. That's how little I loved myself. And he said, it doesn't make sense. We're not in a good place. We're not ready. I was kicking and screaming, and my sober girlfriend said, you got to find a place where you can heal. This is unmanageable. The idea of officially signing a lease somewhere was utter failure to me. It equated the death of all those beliefs. It was the scariest thing at the time that I'd ever done in recovery. But I did not know what other choice I had. So for me, 5 years physically abstinent, I reached spiritual rock bottom. I signed the lease, unfurnished loft apartment, got a mattress before I got anything else, flung it on the floor, threw myself back on it, looked up at the ceiling and started sobbing. What am I going to do now? Don't want to die. Can not go on living another second the way I've been living. In this sacred time in recovery, I found God. Here's how. A woman came into my life. I heard her speak at a meeting. She had killed somebody in her active addiction while she was drunk and driving. And she seemed so happy, so full of joy in her sobriety. I rushed up to her after and I said, are you taking on a sponsee? And she said, now I am. So I tell her the situation. She's also in Al-Anon. So she's in multiple 12-step programs. She's got a lot of time. She's been in a lot of therapy. She's listening to me, how much I fucking hate God and I don't know what to do. And she said, what if we do the steps on your marriage? What if we stop saying, I'm powerless over alcohol? How about you're powerless over your marriage? Your husband? What you did to him? What he might be doing to you? Whether he's lying or cheating? The future of the relationship? And when you try to exert power over him, your life becomes unmanageable in the following ways. Well, that was pretty fucking clear by the way I had been living and feeling, right? And if all of that is true, then what do you have power over? All of a sudden, the focus was inward. And there was agency there, right? So we go through the steps in this way, very curated to the crisis I was navigating. We got to the 9th step, right? Making an amends. I was 5 years sober. I had made plenty of amends, especially to my husband. And this woman looked at me and she said, have you ever made an amends to yourself? Like a dog who hears a high-pitched noise. What? I mean, it had never occurred to me that that was a thing. I was a die-hard, unrecovered perfectionist. And the way I operated was that my critical voice was sitting in the seat of CEO of my life. And especially in the marriage, every time my gut instinct was like, this isn't adding up. He's got to be cheating on you. When I would accuse him of that, just tell me the fucking truth. You got to be cheating. None of this makes sense. Why did you marry me? It was overridden by a voice that said, you're the cheater, Sam. This is what you fucking get for what you did. I couldn't hear anything because the shame was so big. And this woman gave me permission to consider a life where I would forgive myself for my worst mistakes. And that was a start, right? And it's a rigorous practice, by the way, when you're getting into this sort of compassionate self-talk. It's not like stand in front of a mirror and be like, I love you, Sam. Like, ugh. No. What happened was, for the days and weeks and months that preceded, I became conscious. You know, pain is a circuit breaker. Wakes us up out of a sleeping state, right? And we're paying attention. So I turned the dial up on how many times a day I was speaking negatively to myself and what I was saying. And I would listen to the critical voice and I would go, okay, wait a second. If you are allowed to be a person who loves and forgives themselves, no matter what you've done, then what would you say instead? Because this ain't it. This is what someone who hates themselves would say, right? So I start to do all this work, and the miracle is that I could finally hear the whisper of my intuition after decades of silence. That is what I now call God. Such a long answer, but there's a lot. There's a lot.
No, we needed to hear that.
Well, to me, what's interesting is, and it's really powerful, is that you found two people to guide you that weren't really the norm. Like it's not common. I'm not gonna say it doesn't happen. It's just not a common practice in that recovery circle to allow a self-amends. It's almost like it gets talked about in a way that like, well, you're the selfish one. Like, what do you mean? You've been taking care of yourself your whole life. You don't get to do that. So the fact that you had a woman who gave you that permission speaks to me from the universe conspiring to bring about your transformation, and that Bobby was gentle enough with you to allow you to just step into it without pushing you, because a lot of the norm is to kind of push, right?
Yeah.
Like, you know, or tell you to fuck off until you're ready.
Yeah.
So you had two very unique experiences.
Yeah.
That's really interesting to me.
What a transformation.
Yeah.
What story.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this. What led you to write the book?
Since that time in my life, I've used the 12 steps in a modern, fresh way around whatever the thing was that came next. Like when I found out my husband was in fact cheating on me. And my intuition, after months and months and months of being sure I was going to leave him, having all the sex in all the land, which was fabulous at the time, she said, are you sure you're done? You fought the good fight, so if you're done, be done. But if you're not, if you can see a happy life on the other side of this mess somewhere, you might need to stay, right? What a process to thaw out from that level of betrayal. I used the steps when I had a miscarriage and then postpartum depression once we started to have babies. I've been repurposing those steps around whatever the thing is in my life that's causing me the most pain for 11 years, right? All the while, I had a private practice that I started in Santa Monica. And these were normal folks. These were well-to-do people paying me cash to make their body pain go away, right? And my spiritual and sober life was separate, running parallel tracks to one another, right? And yet these patients, these ordinary folks, seem to also be suffering from emotional cycles of addiction and dysfunction, like chronic people-pleasing, toxic codependency, untreated perfectionism, obsession with the beauty and body standard. And all of that was getting in the way of their physical pain being gone. And I wanted to do something about it, but that's not why they hired me. I also felt like an imposter. Back to something we talked about. I'm not a psychologist. Who the fuck am I to guide them through that? It was like an itch that I couldn't scratch. And then my sister died. Now, I don't remember almost anything from that day. I remember we were in San Antonio and and Austin during that trip. So we went back to Austin to the airport, which is where I found out that she died. I remember dropping to the floor and heaving and sobbing uncontrollably. I mean, I was wailing in the airport. And that's about it. That's about all I remember from that day. But apparently I turned to my husband on the plane and I said, I'm writing a fucking book. When I set out to write, it was as if that story of losing her was the final story in a sea of stories that was like, you don't need anybody's permission to write a fucking book anymore. You've lived through enough to share this shit with somebody else and maybe save a life. But then as I got more and more clear and I thought about how I have a doctorate and everything I saw in my clinic, and I said, well, if you want to make the greatest impact, you got to make this prescriptive somehow. So what helped you the most, Sam? Oh, when I worked the steps in a modern and trauma-informed way. That's what saved my life. That's what this is. That's what my message and my mission is. I'm going to be the fucking girl who 12-stepped the world.
I love that.
So there were a lot of forces leading up to what the book has become. But, you know, it's my humble opinion, personally and professionally, that none of us know what the fuck we're doing here. We don't know what we're doing. And almost no one I've ever met has had a stable enough childhood to feel like they have a spiritual blueprint for how to get through life's hardest things.
Have you faced any adversity or pushback from the community itself? Because that tends to be a taboo kind of, you get what I'm saying? Like
I do.
So I'm just curious about that experience for you. So.
Not yet, but as my platform grows, I know that I will.
Yeah.
And I'm fully prepared.
I love it.
I'm fully prepared. Yeah.
I think it's badass, but I just have seen that in the past. So, yeah.
Oh, I know. I mean,
You know
it's
what I'm talking about?
there's going to be so much about.
I do.
She's manipulating the steps for a profit. She's coaching people in sobriety. You should sponsor people for free.
Yeah.
Who is she to take an ancient manuscript and turn it on its head to monetize? Oh, it's all coming.
Yeah.
But it's so much bigger than that small-mindedness that I am not scared at all of that.
Yeah.
That's dope.
I love it.
That's why we get along so
And it's helping transform lives. So who's to judge anything?
It is. And most of the people I'm coaching don't have traditional addiction, substance abuse issues. They're stuck in loveless marriages. And guess what's at the root of it? If only I had fucking left 20 years ago. I'm such a fucking idiot. Shame. Untreated shame. Just like my sister. Just like every addict on earth that I've met. And we get to treat that using this fresh template of the steps.
That first night at dinner, we talked, when you said that about the shame, I was like, yep, we're linked up. You know, that's when I knew. Because so many people miss it. And I've talked a lot about, like, the number one offender is resentment. I'm like, no, first of all, people lie to themselves. They say they don't need certain things and they stop doing the thing and then they get in trouble. But before that, it's the shame spiral. So I love that.
Yeah. Beautiful. So what's next for Samantha Harte, huh?
Selling out stadiums.
I love it.
Truly. I mean, I had no idea that I would want to go on a path of paid public speaker, but I love speaking. And it's funny because, you know, it's one of the things people fear literally the most is public speaking, just the ordinary person. And early in recovery, when, you know, I was in more of an intimate meeting setting where it was a round robin and it was kind of expected that you would share when it was your turn. I was like everybody else. I was just self-obsessed, thinking about what I was going to say. My heart was racing. It was like a nightmare experience, right? Why? Well, first of all, I was only thinking about me. I was not thinking about something I say is probably going to help somebody else, right? And I was terribly insecure. I had not built any self-worth whatsoever, right? Meanwhile, now I feel like internally I'm so sturdy and I'm so clear that if I were to speak to 5,000 people, maybe 4,999 don't get anything, but one person will absolutely get something. And that's enough for me. It's literally not about me. So I want to speak on stages. I want to sell out stadiums. I want to coach people back home to themselves.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
Well, I saw you rock the Aspire VIP stage. That was dope. That's where we connected in Miami.
You want to know a fun story about that?
Yeah, definitely.
So on my journey to becoming a public speaker, right, I'm studying under people who are doing it and are further along, right? So Jen Gottlieb is like a mentor to me, and she started
awesome.
this speaker school, and I was in the first sort of enrollment of students, and she brings on guest speakers, and she brought on Alex Smith, who's the VP
I
of
know
speaker
Alex.
relations, right, for Aspire. And I found out she lives in California. I was like, oh, I'm definitely building a relationship with this woman. And we had lunch. I have a speaking event in LA that I started, which I can tell you more about. I got her to come speak at it, right? So I've been loving on that relationship in the best way. I mean, she's got her own amazing story. And so there's like strategy meets alignment. Like you cannot just be doing things, right, to get somewhere. It's very, very dangerous, very empty. So it felt really good to connect with her, right? And I go and I'm supposed to, in Miami, speak during Elevator Night, which is Dan Fleischman's event that he's thrown for free for years and years and years. And he was giving me an opportunity to speak on a panel. Turns out I was on the last panel. The event ran so far over that his event organizer and friend, Shannon, of many years said, do you still want to speak? Like the audience started with hundreds of people and it was so thinned out. I mean, there couldn't have been more than 30 people sitting anymore. And everyone was tired. It was 4 hours of a lot of information, right? If you want to speak, like totally, you can do it. Like I'm not going to, take away the chance. And I was like having this moment of like, I fucking came to Miami to do this, right? Like this is crazy that I'm maybe not getting this chance. All my recovery kicks in. And I said, if this is my shot, I'm going to shoot my shot.
Yeah.
If there's another opportunity where people aren't so fatigued from this information, then maybe put me on another day for another thing. But if it's the only opportunity, I'm taking it. And she was like, no, of course we'll figure something else out. So I said, cool, then let's just wrap up after this and we'll figure something out while I'm here. That night, I wasn't going to go. There was a VIP after party. I was only going to catch like the last 20 minutes because I was staying at this other event to speak for so long. I was missing this other like VIP launch thing.
Yeah.
And I wrote to Dan, I said, should I go to this VIP thing? He was like, you should definitely come. So I go, and it's more like party atmosphere. Like people
Was
are
it
just
the mansion? And oh, I was there too. I didn't even see you.
oh my God. So I'm there and I see Alex. And she's like, hey, how are you? And I said, I'm good. I was supposed to speak tonight and I didn't get a chance. And she said something to me, but the music was really loud. I didn't hear it. And she's giving me this look like, how are you not responding to what I'm saying right now? And I'm like, I'm sorry. And she said, do you want to speak on a VIP panel at a lunch at the Aspire tour? And I'm like, yes, like what? Right?
How cool is this? It is so cool.
So that's how that happened. It was completely
dope.
unplanned.
Yeah, that's dope.
And I just kept
And
saying,
I connected with you, and now you're here.
Exactly.
Because of this.
And I just
how
said,
awesome is that?
this or
That's how God works.
Right,
the universe.
right.
Don't tell me.
this or something better. Right? What a powerful mantra. This or something better.
Yeah. That's such. Oh man.
Yeah.
What great. Oh man.
I got stories for days, Frank, just like you do. I'm gonna miss my flight.
I know.
What's up? What we got? We got time already.
Yeah, we're almost done. So what I want to do is, okay, Where do we find you? How do we find you? You know, because we're about to wrap up.
Yeah.
Where does the audience find you? Where can we find you?
Yeah.
Give us all of it. Yes.
So
where can we find your book? Where can we find you?
Yeah, I'm the most active in terms of social media on Instagram, and it's at Dr. Samantha Harte. Harte is spelled Harte. That's also my website, drsamanthaharte.com. And it has had a fresh rebrand, which is really awesome because if you want to know about my book or my podcast or my live events or my merch or my coaching program, literally it's all there. You can find out about it and you can book a discovery call just to connect with me and talk more. So you can DM me on Instagram. I will respond to you.
Amazing.
Or you can just literally go on my website and book a call with me for free.
Amazing. I would highly, highly recommend everyone go follow her. And definitely, if you're looking to level up, would 100% sign up with her and get on the coaching program. I mean, 100%. Where could they find your book?
They can find it through my website or
Okay.
just literally going on Amazon and typing in Breaking the Circuit.
And then what about your speaking?
My speaking event, if you're
Yeah.
local,
Yeah.
but I also have virtual tickets. It's every month, and there's information on the main page of my website. It's called Heart Conscious Creators, for people who are consciously creating their destiny. And every single month, we pull out one of the 12 steps that corresponds to that month of the year, and we extract the universal messages in the step, and we see how it applies to how we live, love, parent, and work.
Amazing. Wow.
Love it.
Amazing. All right. Well, man, honestly, amazing.
Thanks.
Thank you so much for coming on. This has been
Yeah,
so
so dope.
fun. Great conversation. Amazing day. Amazing past 3 days, you know. So everyone subscribe, click and subscribe to the Emotion Wellness Podcast and go follow my brother, Jason Turner, even though he doesn't love me on social media. At Emotion Guy, I don't care. At Frank Parisi 2011, at Emotion Wellness Therapy. Click and subscribe to our podcast and definitely go follow Samantha Harte. Dr. Samantha Harte, thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for connecting with us on today's episode of the Emotion Podcast, where we discuss all things mental health. Connect every week as we explore incredibly intimate stories of persistence and hope. Delve into mental health education and explore valuable resources. Available on YouTube, Apple Podcast, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. And visit emotionwellness.com for more information.